Hi everyone, welcome back for yet another mini ship history. This video is an adaptation of my talk at the Australian National Maritime Museum commemorating the history of Holland America Line, celebrating its 150th anniversary, as well as the publication of the epic 5-volume series of books that cover the history of this company in unrivaled detail. In my hand is the first volume, and there is a link down below for those of you who wish to buy the first 2 volumes, which are now out. The information and most of the photos that you will see in all my mini ship histories come from these books. The ship that we'll be looking at today is the 1929 Statendam. This ship was a replacement for the previous Statendam that, if you had seen in the previous video, was unfortunately lost in the First World War. The Netherlands in World War I was a neutral country, and it made a lot of money as such, being able to still provide a service between Europe and North America. And in 1919, it was swimming in cash. So much so that it was able to buy itself out of the IMM and embarked on a giant building spree, building no less than 2 new ocean liners, the Veendam and the Volendam, as well as at least 10 cargo ships. But they also wanted their new flagship. They felt robbed that their grand 3-funneled 32,000-ton giant had been lost in the war. So they asked Holland Wolff to revise the design and give them a new Statendam. Unfortunately, by 1924, when the Statendam had been launched from Holland Wolff, circumstances had dramatically changed. In the previous year, the United States government slashed the number of immigrants that could enter their country by almost 90%. And suddenly, Holland America Line was faced with a brand new, expensive fleet and hardly any berths to fill them. So they were in deep financial straits. So much so that they were not able to pay for the completion of the Statendam. So the hull was towed over to Schiedam in the Netherlands and placed into layup. It was only towards the late 20s, through a separate fund that was set aside by employees of Holland America Line to get this ship completed, that work was resumed, and eventually, with more investment from Holland America Line itself, their flagship was finally completed. One way that they were able to cut costs was to utilize the 1914 interiors that had been completed for the previous flagship. Aside from revisions of the stern design and a slight reduction in size, this Statendam was very closely based to that of the 1914 Statendam. So the interiors were a good fit. Statendam entered service in 1929, but unfortunately that was the year of the Wall Street crash, which of course precipitated the global worldwide depression. While this was a beautiful ship, it was also very dated. As you can see, these beautiful wooden panelled walls, ornate chandeliers, beautiful wrought iron glass domes, they all belonged to the decor and the design philosophy of the previous generation, of pre-World War I. We're talking about 1929 here. This is 2 years after the French Ile-de-France revolutionized interior decor for ocean liners by bringing a new, independent, Art Deco influenced style that would soon take over all the interior decors of new liners. So it was quite dated. Despite this though, the ship had an enduring quality about it. And throughout the 1930s, it would operate on the transatlantic run, as well as doing a series of cruises. Unfortunately, on the 11th of May 1940, it was docked in Rotterdam and got trapped during the German invasion. During fighting between the invading German troops and the defending Dutch soldiers, a small fire sprung up in the stern of this ship. Unfortunately though, with no crew on board and no fire department to come to its aid, over the next 5 days, this beautiful ship was absolutely burnt to a crisp. And you can see this sad panorama showing the intense damage inflicted on this ship. The damage was so great that it sunk at the dock, and once the invasion had been completed, the occupiers had the ship raised and sent off to scrap. A terribly sad end to this beautiful ship. There is one excellent book about this ship in Dutch. However, the complete history of Statendam is not only covered in this book, but also in the previous Holland America Line history books, which I have mentioned in the first of my ship videos. So that is the short, unfortunate mini history of the Statendam. If you're liking these mini ship histories, let me know if there's any ships you'd like me to feature as well, and I'll be happy to do so. However, stay tuned because there's more coming.